gold coins, because it's normally gold coins, being transported in olive jars, in amphoras, as some people call them. For that, you need to be in cahoots with everyone. Guys, just think twice. Before putting dynamite in a cannon, there is absolutely no need to do that. There is no need, that's a crime. Hello everyone and welcome to Underwater Adventures with Alex Mirabat. Today we will be talking about some myths and legends about shipwreck treasures. So let's dive into it. The reason we chose this subject for this episode is because we have received a lot of questions, most of them privately, about some myth and misconceptions with the treasures found in shipwrecks. We have talked about some of them in the Merida treasure episode and Misconceptions on underwater archaeology. So some of them have been touched, but obviously people have more questions, there are more doubts, and maybe in some of them we haven't explained enough for people to understand why are there misconceptions or why are there legends, why are there myths. So today we will go through few of them that we have prepared for you.
I guess myths and legends also normally come out of a misunderstanding or something that it's actually based in reality, something that did happen, but maybe is misplaced or out of context, and hence it becomes untrue. But normally myths and legends come from somewhere.
Yeah, one of the things that happened with this is that I don't even know how to explain with the right term, but is to normalize an exception.
Making the exception the rule.
But because it has happened once and people can tell me rightfully, yeah, Alex, but this happened. Yeah, okay, but that was an exception. It doesn't mean that this was the way it was done. And that's what I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I will start with something that I touched briefly quite recently in the Merida treasure episode, which is this perception that people have of gold coins, because it's normally gold coins, being transported in olive jars, in amphoras, as some people call them, botijas, as they are called in Spanish, in any ceramic container. Okay, I already mentioned in the Merida treasure episode that that was not a practice. That was not a practice. Coins were not transported in ships inside olive jars or any ceramic container. Reasons are plenty. First of all, because these containers were meant for something else. These containers were meant for liquids, so mainly for liquids, but olive oil, wine, brine, even pickle and salty fish. You can find a variety of things inside these containers where coins were not one of them.
Obviously, looking at something from outside is easier to judge, perhaps, but also, why would you put something as heavy as gold? Like, why would you put a material or something that can break its container very easily? Anyway.
Well, these are details that people don't stop to think about it, because if they normally would do that, they will arrive to the conclusion that, it was awkward that they would put something like gold inside the ceramic container. But there are more reasons to that, and this is one of the examples why an exception could suddenly become a rule in the imagination of people. Because inland, not in ships, inland, wealthy people, long time ago, in the countryside, they used to put their savings, which normally were in gold coins, inside any ceramic container and put it in the ground in their backyard. So they bury it in the backyard so they can access it later on. And why gold? Well, obviously, if you want to put aside, or you want to save your savings. If you want to save them, you will not use the smaller notes. You will use notes of higher denomination, like $100 or €500. So you have less amount of notes, and they will have less amounts of coins if they want to.
It takes less space.
It takes less space with the same value. So that's why they normally use, to save them and to bury them in the ground, they would use gold coins instead of silver coins. Also because gold doesn't get oxidized in the same way that the silver does, and they will lose value and everything. And then a friend of mine was asking me, hey Alex, but this should have come from something that happened. What happened that this became like a sort of practice? Well, I can tell you why they put ceramic containers in the ground instead of wood or instead of iron. Because it stays longer down there. It's not affected by the humidity of the ground like wood will. You will put a wooden crate in the mud, cover it, and probably in 4 or 5 months that wood is rotten, and your savings, your coins are all over the place because it rains. So the ceramic container, they are very resistant to that, to humidity and to heat and dry. So the ceramic itself is a very good material, so that's why they choose to use these kind of containers to put their savings aside instead of a wooden crate, a normal so-called chest, or a bag that will also rotten away with the time. So this is one of the examples why a thing that was done few times became like the rule. This is where they store the coins. Well, it wasn't. So for my colleagues and the ones who are working on shipwrecks and they are excavating shipwrecks, you will eventually find olive jars which are closed and sealed, and they will be heavy. Don't open them looking for coins. You will not find coins inside. I know of very sad examples of people that they have found this olive jar and they have broken the olive jars looking for gold inside. And this is a precious artifacts that have lasted for 350, 400 years under the water in a wreck site, in an archaeological context, and just because it's heavy and it's closed and it's sealed, you think it will be full of gold. Well, they will not be full of gold. Trust me, you will not find a single coin in a sealed olive jar. We have found olive jars which are sealed. The process of investigating the content of the olive jar is quite careful. You have to do that in the conservation center because you have to filter what is inside. Most of it will be mud. Even if it's closed and sealed, it will be a muddy substance. You have to filter that through a mesh, collect each of the materials that they are coming out from there to see if there are fish bones, to see if there are olive seeds. So it's an investigation. You will not find gold there. You will not find coins. So for the olive jars and botijas and matabans and ceramic containers, as the container that they use to transport coins, you can scratch it off. You can scratch it off. You will not find coins inside olive jars unless it's an open olive jar in the seabed and by chance a coin went in during the wreckage. But they were not used to transport coins, nor to store coins more than in your backyard. One of these botijas may have few coins that you wanted to save for rainy days. Another one, which the people who work in shipwrecks will agree with me, that is within the industry is quite spread, and in the fishermen community and in the divers community, which is also gold coins inside cannons. Yes, I know it will sound weird, but it's quite a common misconception, or it's a myth, that gold coins were put inside the barrel of the cannon to store them. And this started because some amateur divers and fishermen found cannons in a wreck site that the mouth of the cannon was sealed with lead. So obviously what they thought was, okay, this is like a giant tube and is sealed in this side. So it's because they are storing valuables inside. In this case, valuables will be gold coins, which is the favorite value for everyone. So no, this wrong idea have ended up in people blowing up cannons with dynamite to break them and take the coins from inside. The fact that the cannon is sealed or was sealed with lead is because they, at the moment that the ship sank, they were new. They were transported in the ship. They were not operative. And they sealed the bore of the cannon to avoid the splash of the salt water and the salt in general to go and rust the barrel of the cannon where the ball will go. So you want that surface quite polished, you want it quite clean, you don't want rust in it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these myths come through also by people assuming that we are way smarter than we were back then, by people assuming that the level of logic, intelligence, or information, like the distance, is bigger than it actually is. Meaning of the knowledge that we have today, yes, technology is way different, but logic and rust have existed way longer than our newer technology has. So of course they took measurements to help their materials. They weren't just willy-nilly putting cannons in boats in a careless way, things that they would definitely use. So I think if we also, plus information, plus all of the other things, and education, of course, I understand that, but I think if we all were a little bit less arrogant about the knowledge when looking at history, we would get to things a little bit faster, or be a little bit more like, duh, okay, they still do it how we do it now, or whatever, you know?
There was, and as you said, we tend to underestimate the knowledge and the practice that they had, the craftsmanship that they have in all these things. Because what we do with that is to show a little bit our ignorance, because you have to have into account that you have to protect this kind of artillery. You cannot just go in the sea with an open cannon that you are not using, and in the moment that you will use it, it's all rust inside. So obviously they took measurements to avoid that, and one of them was sealing the cannons with lead, the mouth of the cannon. That then is, for them, it was easier to take off. With heat, with instrument, it was easier than doing it with other stuff. But okay, then also it would be convenient to analyze and to think, what is that for a container, a cannon? How much gold can you put inside something which weighs already a couple of tons, and it has a volume in the bore, in the barrel, it has a diameter that will not allow you to put the largest treasure in the world, and you already have 2 tons with an empty cannon. So guys, just think twice before putting dynamite in a cannon. There is absolutely no need to do that. There is no need. That's a crime. If you have a beautiful cannon that you want to recover and that you want to study and is strongly attached to the seabed, you have to work on the seabed to free that cannon, not on the cannon. But okay, that's another part of excavation and archaeology. It's not myths and legends. I will mention now one which is not that common, but I have come across that one quite a few times. Because during our investigations and our surveys in different countries, I have always talked to the fisherman community, because bronze cannons are very important for us as artifacts. So if any of them have seen bronze cannons, I am always asking them to show me, because I have explained in other episodes how much information a bronze cannon can give you. And I have explained that to them. We have talked about a lot, but sometimes they got the idea that I was, or my team, that we were interested in the bronze itself, not in the canon, but in the bronze itself, because for them, the bronze is important. They have taken cannons, take it to scrap metal, and they sell it. Bronze is expensive, much more expensive than iron. So they somehow have thought that what we were looking were not bronze cannons, but we were looking for bronze cannons because of the bronze. And I have come to 2 or 3 of them that have told me, well, we found a bronze anchor. Do you want us to show it to you?
Yes.
If
it exists, yes.
If I would be looking for bronze or brass, I would say, yeah, show it to me. But knowing that never, ever an anchor was made of bronze or copper or brass, yeah, I always said, okay, if you have seen an anchor, let me see it, because it could be a Rexite, but it's not bronze, forget it. Yeah, it's bronze. We know what bronze is. It's bronze. It's down there. So to whoever has come across the same story, because some of you might have, just discard it. It is too soft of a material. The bronze or the brass is too soft of a material to be used as an anchor.
Like an anchor. You can see it with bronze plates and cutlery from back in the day, that they're all amalgamated and they are all like, it's really like, you have to see a couple of bronze things to realize that it's definitely not the metal to make an anchor.
It's not hard enough. And bronze,
exactly.
The technology to create the alloy to make bronze, it came much later than they have already found how to make good steel, good iron objects, anchors. Many things were used as anchors. If you go to the Romans, or you go into the
like a literal rock.
Yeah, and the Africans, yeah, you have stone anchors.
Yes,
you
of
have
course,
you
it
have
makes sense.
lead anchors, not in the shape of the anchor we know today. There are different shapes. I will try to find some photos in my folders and put them there, because it's quite interesting. The things that people used to anchor their boats. Bronze anchors were never part of them, never, ever. So
anything but bronze.
Yeah, exactly. You can scratch that one off. If you haven't come across any of these stories of the bronze anchors, you're a lucky guy. You know that if tomorrow it comes, you know that it's not possible because it was not true. One that everyone related to this activity should have come across, and is the gold ship bell. First, because people love ship bells, because the bell of the ship, it would normally have inscriptions, it will have name of the ship in some cases, it will have a year, it will have probably a port, the name of a port, which helps you in your research. Also because they are beautiful objects. Bells used to be quite nicely decorated. They are beautiful artifacts, they are beautiful objects. And if you put all that, but made of gold, then you will make a marvelous piece. Well, no, there are no gold ship bells because of many reasons. First and foremost, because it would be too expensive to make a gold bell, and heavy. But first, it's too expensive. Why would you spend so money to go and call people for lunch?
To call sailors that haven't showered in 3 months, and like, why?
That's first of all. Second, because gold is very soft. It doesn't ring. You will not get this crystalline sound. You will get a dull sound, like an opaque sound. It will be like boom. It will not be heard too far. It will be something really without bright.
No brightness in the sound.
Exactly.
Is it Hollywood? Is it, because I'm thinking, do no churches have gold bells? Like, I'm also trying to think outside of the ocean, outside of the sea.
No, they don't.
There you go.
There are bronze ones, and a very particular combination of the alloy of the bronze to make them hard enough that they can be heard very far away and in a beautiful sound. So that was prepared. It's not just using bronze. And
not any material.
A very polished bronze or brass would look like gold, but it's not gold.
No, Because I was honestly thinking, oh, but I have seen golden looking bells
golden,
before.
yes.
So I was trying to think, yeah, but that tracks. That makes sense. It's my ignorance that I was just like, okay, they might look goldy, but it's not gold.
Yeah, well, you don't.
It's something else.
You see them and you don't think twice because for you it's just like a beautiful thing I saw in that church. But if you are given the challenge or the task to go and find that wreck because I have a gold bell, then you should think, okay, why would I have a gold bell? Let's think about it and let's study it, and you will have come across this information. Another of the reasons why there were not gold ship bells is because gold is soft. That's why it produced this not very bright sound. Gold is soft and it will get dented. It will get dent very easily if you have this thing in the middle. Now I don't know the term in English, I should. Is badajo in Spanish.
Bell parts in English. So there is, the middle is the clapper.
The clapper. Is
the lip is the outside, the mouth, the sound bow, the waist is but the clapper is the dangly thing.
Okay, the gold is soft. It gets dented very easily. So if you have the clapper going into that bell all the time, will mark the bell everywhere. Yeah. I assume all of you, and you don't want that. I mean, in something so expensive that you will be actually breaking it every day.
Every time you use it, you break it or you change the sound, because denting something that is to make sound will change the sound that comes out of it.
Exactly. But maybe I assume that probably 99% of you have seen in movies that people, when you give them a gold coin, they will bite it. They will bite the gold coin. It's like to test if it's really gold. Because gold is soft and will be marked. You can mark it with your teeth.
Is that a silly myth, or can you actually see your teeth bites into gold?
Well,
is it a Hollywood exaggeration, or
it is a little bit of exaggeration, but if you take into account the quality and the purity of the gold back then, which was not mixed with a lot of stuff. I mean, it was mixed a little bit with silver or with copper, but it was pretty much softer because it was of more content of gold. So yes, you could end up, if you have good teeth, you could end up making a small dent into the coin, and then you will be able to differentiate that coin from one made of brass, for instance.
We didn't add it into this list, but I was thinking, is that a myth or a legend, or is it actually true? It's in between.
As you said, it's an exaggeration. It was not that easy to do, but it comes out of the reality, the softness of gold. Then, now that we are talking so much about gold, you have in almost every wreck, or in almost every group of people who work in shipwrecks, some legends of gold ingots that have been painted over in gray to look like lead or silver. The same even with an anchor, and the story of an anchor. You can imagine an anchor made of gold? The anchors of those ships, they weighed over 4 tons, more than the crucifix of the Merida Cathedral treasure.
More than the ship? That's the main thing that I don't think people think about. Is like,
but
the ship would have sunken from the anchor.
No, the anchors made of iron, because of the dimension, they weigh more than 4 tons. Imagine that, the same anchor made of gold. And how much gold do you need to do that? But there was a document in the archives that I think generate this myth, because it mentioned that the smuggling, the contraband from America to Spain was so big and it was so important within the cargo. I mean, people were trying to avoid get taxed by the crown of the gold and the silver that they were bringing from the Americas. So if you manage to get so much gold and you have to then pay 20% to the crown, you can disguise this gold in form of an anchor and paint the anchor and put it together with the anchors of the ship. Yeah, that you could avoid a big tax, but there was a document which mentioned that, but I think it mentioned it in a way of giving you an exaggeration of an example, not something that actually happened. Because for that, you need to be in cahoots with everyone. You cannot move an
Yeah.
anchor made of gold. You cannot place it in a ship. You cannot do that overnight. Paint it and leave it there. So, or avoid that someone accidentally throw it in the water. So,
Also, exactly.
so apparently this archival document of an anchor of gold painting another color to try to avoid the tax of the crown, apparently that generated a lot of ideas of people that gold objects were disguised by painting them in different colors to give them different appearances. Okay, we haven't seen, in my experience and all the, let's call them treasures, I have worked and found and studied, we have never seen that. I have never seen something that looked like a silver ingot or a lead ingot that ended up being a gold ingot inside. No. They sometimes come also lead and silver. They come profusely marked, which is one of the indications that people nowadays used to ask themselves, why would they mark a lead ingot? It doesn't have a value. Why would you mark it with so much interest? In gold, you understand, because it's a marks of property and finesse and everything.
For logistic purposes?
Well, for everything, because maybe for you,
anything.
no, maybe for you today or for me, it might not look that valuable. But for them it
But for
was.
them,
It was very valuable, the lead. They did plenty of stuff in the ship with lead, much more than with gold, for instance. So the lead and silver ingots, which are very nicely marked and with a lot of information on them, yes, they are lead and silver ingots. Don't drill them. Don't scratch them. Don't put them in acid. There are no reasons for that. If you want to go super interested or you're so sure that it has gold inside, just take it to X-ray or ultrasound test. Well, not X-ray because lead will not allow you, but then put it in an ultrasound test. Do something a little bit less invasive. Don't destroy the piece, because 99.9% out of any amount, you will not get any gold inside. And this takes me to the last one, which is, I already mentioned this in Misconceptions, myths or misconceptions about underwater archaeology, which is the typical chest with the mix of valuables, you know, gold, silver, pearls,
all the metals, all the different
jewelry,
objects, all of them in one chest.
everything all mixed. Yeah. Okay, in that episode, you can check the episode, I explain why not, but I am bringing this again for the same reason. When I started, I said, okay, sometimes exceptions become a rule because someone can tell you, oh, Alex, you're wrong. I have found this mix. And I will tell you why. Because what I was talking a few minutes ago, that is that they were trying anyway to avoid the tax. So in the Inés de Soto wreck, for instance, we found inside a bag of silver coins, a full bag of silver, what it was, a bag of silver coins, but the concretion of silver coin, the clump, when it went to the lab and it was clean and the coins were separated with electrolysis, these coins were clean. Inside this group of coins, there were gold jewelry, there were earrings, there were rings, there were a lot of ornaments in gold, there were a gold medallion, there was even a gold key to open I don't know, something very simple, because gold is soft. You should have that in mind. But
somebody's diary.
Exactly. But you have to have in mind that if you find these kind of things mixed with things of less value, it's because they were trying... Smuggling. They were trying to declare that bag as a bag of silver coin with a certain weight and a certain value, and they will pay tax over that. They will not pay tax over the gold objects that were inside. And this is a rarity. This is something that does not happen so often when you find a clump of silver coins. We have found tons of clumps of silver coins, and once or I think twice I remember that we had that situation. So it is not that common. The chests, the crates, the boxes in which the values were transported, they were accounted, they had the same material, they were protected to avoid scratching between themselves. So nobody in their right mind would put in a chest or in a coffer or in one of these Hollywood boxes all these different materials all together so they can damage each other easily through 6 months navigation in the Atlantic Ocean.
I wonder if the representation was actually accurate of the first person that represented a chest like that because they were trying to represent a smuggled chest of things and that just became the standard. Hollywood, maybe I'm being too positive, but I wonder if it was a knowledgeable archaeologist that was like, okay, we have found 3 of those, but the majority of the times you don't transport it like that. And somebody was like, yeah, but this is sexy. Let's run with the chest all mixed.
I think you're giving them the big benefit of the doubt, but a big one. Remember that we are seeing these chests full of variety
since
of
forever.
treasure.
It's true.
Since very early, in the illustrations of
since Alibaba and the 40s
Treasure Island
I know.
or whatever caves full of till the roof. So no guys, this is not a way that they transported the values. You will not find a chest with this mix of gold, silver, jewelry, pearls.
And if you do, it's in the minority because it was smuggling, if you ever do.
Yeah, if you come across of some of the very few examples that are of that, like us, well, okay, it's smuggling. It's someone hiding something inside a group of things of less value, so it would pay less taxes. I wanted to share this information with you guys because even if we have talked about this in previous episodes, quite frequently I get questions from friends and we talk about that, and so many years of fantasy in films and in books and in even documentaries. You have all these things. It's very difficult to put it aside in your head and to get the clear picture. But I'm trying here since my studio, trying to share what I have seen, what I have studied, and the reasons why some things are not as how they have been depicted along the years. So if you like the video, please leave it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it, and let's keep on diving.